All right, everybody, it is the Jere Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we are so excited. We have got Ryan Rodenbeck from Austin, Texas, a top agent in the city and has his own team and company, Spyglass Realty. Ryan, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Exciting.
Yeah, so we've heard great things about you, had a few recommendations, and so you and I chatted recently, and we were like, we got to do this. So thank you. I'm excited to hear. Ryan's a great team builder, excellent marketer, so we're looking forward to hear you share that with us. Tell us first, what happened that you decided to become a real estate agent?
Yeah, I bought my first investment property. I think I was like 26 or 27, and it was a bad move. And then
Right.
and when I sold it, I remember that I was I hired an agent, put it on the market, went to check on it like 2 days later, and there was no pictures on it. And I was like, what is going on?
Right.
You know? So, he's like, well, the photographer's coming on. I was like, well, shouldn't you got the photos first? So I immediately fired him.
Right.
It was in Houston, and I was in Austin, and I drove to Houston. It was right next to a medical parkway, and I put flyers on cars that it was available, and I sold it within like a week. And I said, well, this might be a good reason for me to do this. And we were also working for property. I had a company that we process claims on siding, and we worked with a lot of property management companies. I had met a lot of investors, so I got into real estate as a realtor that specializes in investment property, and my very first venture was in investment property and property management.
Oh, wow. So back up for a minute there, because you said you did something with siding and
yeah, there's Masonite Siding had a class action
yes.
lawsuit.
Okay.
And we figured out that if you have the siding, you can file a claim,
Right.
send wood off your house into Masonite, and they would send an inspector out and they give you a check. Well, no one knew about that. So we literally started a company that would send postcards out, knock on doors, and like the people could do it themselves,
Wow.
but nobody knew how to do it. Nobody wanted to do it. Or like, we do it for contingency for 30%. All you have to do is spend a few minutes here, sign some paperwork. We'll measure it. And so
How did you figure that out?
I worked for a company that did it in Houston. And I remember these guys, this is a good story because they told me if I was working there as a salesperson, going out knocking on doors, right? And they said, if you do 15 claims in 1 week, we will buy you we'll take you guys out, bring you to Ruth Chris for steak dinner, right? And I'm like 24, 23 years old, and
Oh, that's so funny.
I did it. I was really proud, and they didn't do that. And I was like, what the hell?
What? They didn't think you'd do it. They probably didn't think you'd pull it off.
Yeah, or they just weren't paying attention. That's a powerful lesson, that if you incentivize one of your, salespeople, you need to follow through with it. So that kind of led to like, all right, I moved to Austin, started this company here, and then the rest is history.
Wow. So, and then that kind of got you in the real estate corner, and then that got you in the investments, and then that got you, and it probably gave you kind of another, I guess it crossed over, and that gave you another incentive in working with investors to take care of the Masonite and get the.
Yeah, so we were working with a lot of property management companies. If we could score a property management company, we wouldn't just get one claim, we'd get like 100, So through that, I met a lot of investors that were doing very well, and that residential investment property, and it's still something I do a decent amount of today, but that really spoke to me, the act of building wealth through investment property. And some of these guys were firemen and policemen, and they had and they were in their 40s and 50s and had massive wealth through growing it slow.
Wow. And was that kind of your first clients, because you said you started in investments, were people like firemen, good guys, modest income, needed to build massive wealth and built it slowly, and they were just smart about it, and you helped them build
Yeah, that wasn't my first client. So when, so when I first got into real estate, it was November of 2004. And that's when I got my license. We partnered with a California brokerage that was sending investors here to Austin in mass. I mean, he would have like an investment seminar in Orange County, and they would come to Austin.
Wow.
Yeah, so we sold a ton of them, and we grew from 0 to 500 doors in like a year and a half. And the problem with that was that at first it was kind of this almost glamorous residential investment property sales. And then, because of the mass growth, I became a property manager, and it was the worst job of my entire life. I mean, especially growing. I mean, the customers, quite frankly, they weren't happy. We grew too fast. We didn't have the infrastructure. And so I spent a year trying to get it right. I had a property manager leave my company, and the books were all messed up. My wife, who's a CPA, quit her job, came to work with us to help clean that up. So she goes from the CPA to property manager, and
from bad to worse.
Yeah. So we got a buyer on it, and we had been through 2 years of trying to clean this up. And I remember we were in this.
Pause for a minute. Buyer on it. Buyer on the company, or buyer
on the accounts? Yeah, they bought the accounts. Yeah. And we were finally. It was just like 3 years into it. We're getting out of a property management, and I remember going to the sale, the final sale, where they're going to put down payment. It was like, I don't know, $90,000 or something like that. And my wife and I, we signed the paperwork, we got the check, and we start walking to the car. And I'm like, okay, be cool, don't say anything, just we get in the car, drive out, and we turn like, like we're out, celebration.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So. And I asked this because it's relevant to just how you think and how you do things, because you're successful, and this show's all about like getting in the mindsets of our guests and how they've become what you've become. Mm-hmm. So I think about I kind of in those situations, I get real focused on what I'm good at, and everything else I outsource.
Yeah.
Why or what? So let me review. You're in Austin, you have a connection in California. This guy is sending people to Austin because it's a great market to buy homes, to own his rental properties, and grow wealth, right?
Yep.
So you're representing all these buyers.
Mm-hmm.
So you sell 500 houses in a year and a half or more.
Yeah, it was a big team. I mean, it wasn't just me. We had all the infrastructure was in California, and it was 3 years, but yeah.
So then
now 500 doors, mind you. So we managed several fourplexes, duplexes, houses, and we had an office in Houston as well.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Just kidding.
It sounded cool, but it wasn't.
Funny. I'm being sarcastic. I mean, to some people are really good at that and figure it out, which is where I'm going with this. So what is it that you put in? Was that just? I'm just curious because I want to get in your head and how you think. But
sure.
What is it that had you decide that you were going to do that as opposed to just be the sales broker? Or was that part of the deal?
Well, I wanted to be the sales broker, and my partner in California said that they were going to run things, off site there, and he didn't come through. So, yeah, when we sold the accounts, he put everything on us, even though he was sending the clients to us. So when we sold that account, we did the Yahoo, we were over it. We had a server, and people were calling us because all the information was on the server. My wife and I FedExed the server to his office and got on a plane to Costa Rica for 30 days.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were selling properties that needed property managers, and you just said, okay, I'll do it. You're just fulfilling a need.
Well, right. I mean, we were building a property management company, and I was never really for that at the time because
gotcha.
Look, I mean, if you're good in sales, chances are you're not going to be good in property management, right?
Exactly.
And vice versa. I mean, you need to be very detail oriented, and I'm not. Okay, so
exactly.
I remember at the time, like we were having problems when I had 15 people, like a 15-person meeting, with all my staff for the property management. And like, I hated my life. Like we were close to closing the doors. It was horrible, but I had to stand there and say, guys, we can get through this. Like everything's, good.
Yeah.
Having these kind of moments where you're on the brink of failure, but you can't fail because you have the outlook. The life lesson right there.
Yeah, so I bet you got a lot out of that. So give us some of your, a couple of things. I want to go in two directions with this, and I tend to do that. But I want to know your life lessons from that, and I also want to know that you did that 30-day trip to Costa Rica, and then is that when you became an agent after that?
Yeah, so I went to Costa Rica, and it was September of 2007, and the market literally fell apart while we were there. Okay.
I mean, talk about a blessing. Talk about good timing.
Yeah. So when I came back, I had already joined another firm that was doing investment property. And the first time I haven't been on my own in many, many years. And so I spent 9 months with them. And he said that they were doing, they were bringing in a lot of leads, and they weren't. Leads completely dried up. And anyway, ended up leaving that place, started Spyglass Realty at my desk.
Which you started in 2008?
Yeah, in 2008. And we did I wanted to start everything fresh. Didn't want to deal with any of the investors I had before. I didn't want to cut ties with my partner at the time. So I said, how am I going to build this? And so the way I started it was newsletter, and that's still a huge thing for me today. So what I would do is I would go onto MLS and I would look. At this time, foreclosures were really prevalent.
2008 was the worst year of my career. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted investors with cash. So I started calling the foreclosure listing agent and say, can I advertise your stuff on Craigslist? So I'd advertise your listings on Craigslist. And then I built every week, I did a list called the top 10 foreclosure list, where I would take the foreclosures that were on the market and I would pick 10 of them that had rent potential and after repair value. And I started sending this out week after week after week. And then next thing you know, I had a couple of buddies join me, started getting a real list of investors. And then probably in 2010 or 11 was when I really said, okay, I need to expand beyond investment. Started taking a lot of, going to courses and seminars on, I wanted to get into a higher end product, right? Get out of investment property. I wanted to know how to, stage a home. So I got my wife certified as a stager. We started getting really into I was already into the marketing on a very low level, but started, posting our listings on, syndication, but also through Craigslist and when, as soon as Facebook came out, it was one of the first things I did was post listings on Facebook.
Wow. So, wow, what a cool history. So basically, you were a broker doing the investor deals. Then you were in property management. Mm-hmm. Or that kind of was the same thing. Then
it was the same thing. It just turned out like I was not supposed to be in the property management. It's just things went so sideways. I had to be. I remember one time.
But you say that a lot of people, which may attribute to your success, would be like, "No, I'm out. Like I'm not gonna die if this doesn't happen. I'm out. I'm gonna go get a 9 to 5. See y'all." And you didn't do that. You were like, "There's a demand. People need me. I'm gonna fulfill."
And I had to. I remember one time we had an owner that was he was upset because this property manager that we had that left was just really horrible. And she had charged him for she had double charged him. I don't even know what happened. I think the vendor got the money and just didn't do the job. He was supposed to clean the place out and clean it. And like, I called two of my buddies and it's like two of my agents, and it's like, I got to clean this place. I need your help. I can't pay you. Can you come help me? So we went in and cleaned it ourselves. And I've got a lot of stories about that, about having to jump in and just
make it happen. Like,
it's but not it was about a disaster. I mean, it was a disaster. When my wife got in, she had when property managers left in November of 2006 or 2005, 2006, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't take off for 3 months until Christmas. And that was the only day that time we took off. And when I say that, I'm talking Saturday and Sunday, like going home, like she was at those books cleaning that up for 3 entire months. It got to be so bad. Like she cleaned it up enough that I remember coming home at night, like we both come home at night at like 11 o'clock. This is what we have kids at the time, at 11 o'clock. And we're sitting there and like, we're both just miserable. We're both miserable. And I said, we both cannot be like this. I want you to go back to your job.
Yeah.
That way, I need your support when I get home, or vice versa, right?
Right. So, she was like, no, I'll go back. Right.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, I'll go back. And she had done her job of getting it cleaned up and
right.
ready. So she went back, it took another year and a half at that point, and then we sold the accounts.
So because we got 10 more years to get through here.
Sure.
And I want to wind back to the lessons. Well, I'm going to ask you, what was the biggest lesson you got when you got done and you spent that 30 days in Costa Rica? That was probably like a little meditation time. You had some reflection.
Yeah.
And then you came back and you started with a company that didn't last long and started Spyglass Realty. Like, where you were in one place of being naive but being a go-getter and a problem solver, and you've got lots of failures and lots of whatever. What was the big takeaway?
I think the big takeaway was from my partner at the time, which he was a really impressive dude. I mean, he was a year older than me, and he had 150. He was 28 years old. He had 150 agents. He had like 4 different offices around the nation. But the problem was, there was 2 lessons, I think. One, he grew way too fast. Okay. Mm-hmm. And 2, he did not care about his clients at all. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's why I got a bunch of the heat, because he would just not take the calls and I would. And so after we left, I think after we sold those accounts, he quit doing Austin. He was still in like Bullhead, Arizona, and North Carolina. I remember he had similar situations in those places, and I just thought, like, what if he would have not grown as fast, right?
Right.
And then gave a lot more attention to the clients. After the recession, I mean, his business would have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because like he had such a great, impressive thing. And then, so those were 2 lessons. Don't build your business too fast. Mm-hmm. Take much more care about what you're doing for your clients. And then I think the third lesson is know what you're good at and know what you're not, right? Yeah. Like someone like me who is very ADD, very fast driven, right? I shouldn't have anything to do with accounting at all, right? Like I don't
laugh because I'm exactly like you. Anyway.
Yeah, no,
it's just reassuring to know it's okay to not be good at some things and to not do them. But
yeah. Right. So like, I don't even know how much money is in our account at any given time. I haven't logged into our account in years. My wife on the other hand can tell you how much we spent at movies in 2007.
God, yeah. It sounds like my husband. Exactly. He knows. I don't want to know. I just want to live and move and make it happen.
Just
and that's
tell me, are we broke or not? Right.
Just tell me we're not. Just tell me we're not.
Yeah, right. Lie to me.
Just tell me we're not and fix it, right? I'll work. I'll make money. Just tell me we're not.
Right.
Anyway, nobody listened. Nobody listened to me. Bad advice. But anyway, okay. So you get back. You had this job, and I remember that story you told, like in the recession, and there were people getting all these leads, and then you go take these jobs at these brokerages, and the leads were all like nonsense and not real. Mm-hmm. I don't know what was going on with that whole common thing. And then you're like, forget this. So Spyglass Realty, like then you just got out of that, and that's where you are today, Spyglass Realty. How did, tell us, you learned these lessons. How did you implement them when you started Spyglass Realty? And
well, I didn't have to worry about going too fast because I was starting over, right?
In the recession, 2008.
Yeah, during the recession. And it was funny that everybody got into my car, but pre-recession, they knew so much more than me, right? And they're in their car, they're buying homes, a 4-plex for $200,000, and they're putting 5% down, and then they got the 5% from a HELOC loan in California. which, I was like,
that is like, everybody watch The Big Short. That's all that is. I mean, that's
so
nuts. Yeah.
So when I started Spyglass Realty, I had a list of investors that got pretty quickly. And it wasn't nearly the volume that I was doing. And I had always looked at residential real estate. I looked at it as really cheesy. Didn't like it, right?
Oh, me too. Right. And here I am,
right.
15 years later, or whatever years later.
Reluctant to get into it, but I also knew that, selling at the time a $400,000 home was much better than a $150,000, duplex or whatever, right? So I wanted to do it right. So I joined a class. I think it was at the time it was Max Avenue. They're now brokers in Austin, but they had a deep dive into a selling system, staging your property, marketing. As a matter of fact, when I was in Max Avenue, do you know the guys Kinder Reese?
I don't know.
Jay Kinder, and anyway, now they're NAEA. They're like a coaching program.
Okay.
Anyway, they were in that class, and then they basically took that model and started their own coaching program off of that.
Oh, wow.
So my wife was really good at decorating, and so we got her certified to be a stager. And I said, okay, how am I going to make myself different than anybody else? Well, let's offer staging at no additional charge. Staging was just coming in, and people were charging, $150 an hour for a staging lesson. We were going to.
They still are,
that.
By the way.
Do what?
And they still are, by the way.
Yeah, they still are.
I pay them all the time, and they're great. They're awesome. They're worth it for sure. But yeah, that's awesome.
So we started collecting furniture. We got like a storage unit. And then we even got to the point where we're staging vacant places at no additional charge. And that was in, I think, 2011. We've never yet charged one of our clients to stage a home.
Wow. That's awesome. Now, did you segue that business into a business that does charge?
Nope, never did.
You're such an entrepreneur. Like, our interview is between the two AD personalities in this interview, I love it. We're like everywhere, but this is good stuff. Because you're coming from I think a lot of people come into this business, they have certain connections, or there's just, it's the best job I could have. But you've kind of got this, you're an opportunist, kind of not even for money, but it's just for like the world has a need and you're there to fulfill it, and you just do, because a lot of people don't do that.
Well, and another thing was this, it's like at the time in my neighborhood, like, how do I break into my neighborhood? Like,
right.
How does that happen? And, when I don't have a history of selling these types of properties.
So pause there, because don't forget what you're saying, but I want to remind everybody that you getting into investments and investor lists, you created a newsletter that was it wasn't just like, hi, I know about business and all this gibberish. It was like, it was for investors, foreclosure properties, and you even compartmentalized them and put them into properties that will get a return and properties that will get rent. Yep. And it was like suddenly very simple, and your list was probably easily built. So now fast forward to here, how do I break into my neighborhood where I have no experience? Mm-hmm. Tell us.
Exactly. And so what I thought about was, okay, I've got money coming in from investment property. I don't want to do investment property. I don't want that to be 100% of my business, because I knew a recession happens. Both, right? So
yeah, that recession changed us all, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, it's a learning lesson. It's going to change us again too. I
want to hear what you think about that. But first, I want to hear about how you broke into your neighborhood. What did you do?
So when we got her certified, we went on a postcard campaign like crazy, and we put complimentary staging. We sent that out, mailed it out, and then we started getting listings in our neighborhood. We started getting listings in other neighborhoods. I got my first website was in 2008. We started putting before and after videos of I would go into the house and intentionally get the worst pictures that I could for before, right? And then we'd stage it, and then we'd do before and after videos of the house, and then before and after with the the professional photos following my iPhone photos or whatever it was at the time. So
one question: why aren't y'all on HGTV? Like, y'all need to be the couple on HGTV making it happen. Love it or list it, or list it or love it, or what is the show?
I don't know. I had an interview a while back. No.
Who hasn't had an interview with HGTV? I know, but they did.
Right.
They've interviewed me a few times, but I don't think they like me much.
They don't like me either. I think I'm too old. They're like, oh, you're 43. It's like, yeah.
We don't look 43. I mean, come on. Like, I'm not like I'm a smidge under you. I'm 29 for a long time.
Right.
But Isaac's over here. I'm killing Isaac today. I love it. Everybody, you haven't seen our show yet, but everybody like hashtags Isaac. Like everybody's like, well, what does Isaac think? So now we're all like talking. Isaac is dying. Everybody. Okay. So anyway, Isaac's our producer. So before and after videos. So literally, so you went in, you did a postcard campaign to the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Your focus in the campaign, was it staging? Was it neighborhood information? What was it?
It was mainly, it was staging.
Wow.
You know,
okay.
We would do ones where we take advantage of every piece of the postcard, right? And we put a little story on the back, and we put on the front, we'd have a picture of my wife and me and our dog at the time, you know, and then complimentary staging. And then from there, my sister, who's also a real estate broker here in Austin, she was doing these like 8-page newsletters, and I was already good at newsletters. So I started doing a 8-page newsletter, deliver it through every door, direct mail. And I sent that out to the neighborhood. And that was more information. Like I was always writing blogs. When I'd go to an economic forecast, I'd open my iPad and I'd just take notes, and that would turn into the blog. And people really responded to that. So like when it came time, I'd do these big 8-page newsletters. The content wasn't that hard to find. I would just take the last, 3 or 4 blogs, put them together. And then we'd also put like the average price of the neighborhood. It was real informational, lots of graphics. And
well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in the newsletter, did you also incorporate the staging into that, or were those kind of 2 different campaigns that you did?
No, I mean, the newsletter would have a little ad in it that was our ad, like complimentary staging, in-depth internet marketing.
So it was like stealth marketing. It was I love it. So like entrepreneur big time. So
and
you've got a stealth newsletter.
Forecast.
They don't know it's your newsletter, but you're sponsoring your newsletter with your real estate company, right? Or
we didn't hide it. No, we had Spyglass Realty all over it.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't say the Barton Hills newsletter. It said Spyglass Realty newsletter. Okay. Q1,
But the newsletter wasn't about Spyglass Realty. It was about what people actually care about, which was their market, what's going on, which I think is important. There's so many people out there marketing about themselves. And people, I mean, they just need to know you can get the job done. But what they really need to know is they need our knowledge and our data and the access we have to it, which you provided through the newsletter. You gave them what they wanted to know. Yep. And then you kind of enhance that with kind of an ad in your newsletter about your staging services.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we would do an economic forecast. I live in 78704, which is just south of downtown. And when I first moved here in 2011, it was, down south of Mar, there would be, what is it? Muffler shop, repair shop, pawn shop, right? Yeah. And now it's all mixed use. We have the best restaurants. And so I did one segment called The Future of South Lamar and put the graphics of the new building that was being built and like interviewed all the developments and people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. What was interesting is some people loved it because they hated it. You had some of old Austin, like Austin's changing. We don't want that to change.
That's
I'm like,
good,
I hate that too.
Do you still have a copy of that newsletter?
Yeah,
That's
I'm sure
brilliant.
I do.
Would you share it with us?
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to find it, but I'm sure I have it somewhere.
Isaac, make sure we get that, because that would be that's brilliant. Because in doing that, you're not only providing the content that your ideal client's looking for, but you're also developing more relationships in the community to develop more business.
And it got to the point where when my son, before he went to kindergarten, I would see people at the park and they knew who I was from the newsletter.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we interviewed Chuck Galuli recently, and I think it's been a few weeks, but Chuck did the same thing in the White Oaks, the White Oaks blog in Silicon Valley, and it literally, he said, I go places and everybody knows who I am from the blog. But I just think that's so important. So my next question, so two things. Well, number one, in doing that kind of very focused, not I'm a realtor, with anybody, so let me list their house, because that doesn't work. It's like, I'm a realtor, if you need staging and you're in this neighborhood, like you're honed in on who your ideal client is and speaking to that person.
Yep.
How fast, I imagine that blew your business up even in 2008, or especially in 2008.
Well, actually, this probably didn't start till 2011.
Oh, that's right. So 2000. So when did you really hone in and focus like that? Was that in 2008 or
2011? 2010, actually, right? So by 2011, I was actually made the top 50 list in my category one time, right?
Right.
On the, like 1 year after I started this.
Right.
So it happened really fast, and that had a lot to do with a bunch of things, but mainly just kind of like we were going to take things and we were going to be better than everybody else. I have a lot of top producing agents have this kind of negative image of realtors, right?
Right.
I think so many of the ones that don't do things right bring it down for
the rest of us. Right.
So we paid, even though I don't have attention to detail, I paid a lot of attention to detail to how we were going to do things, like how we were going to take photos. I remember, one of my agents put a lease listing on MLS, and the IDX had it come up in my featured listings. And this is way back in the day, and it had these like horrible iPhone photos. And I'm like, take that down.
Take it down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I've got a client. I said, well, you got two choices. You can tell the client that you don't take good photos, or, you can take it off of IDX and not syndicate it. But either way, you're not doing your job for your client. And you're not going to put your crappy photos up there next to my beautiful ones, because someone's going to come to my site that's interested to see, how I market, and they're going to see your listing up there.
Right.
So, and then, that's the kind of the thing with our market is like, or not our market, our industry in general is people become complacent. Like, okay, well, I'm only getting paid, 30% of 1 month for a lease. Well, you shouldn't think of it like that.
It's representative of you. At some point, I mean, it's not even about the money. It's about doing things right, and it's representative. Absolutely. Because whatever you're doing now, our industry, it's like we're kind of raised to get dressed and go to school and be told where to do and what to do when, and get a job and be told what to do and just expect to get paid. And we think like whatever we do, like the return is exactly equal. But it's like so not. Like it's like whatever you do, there's something 10 years down the road waiting for you that's going to be affected by the decision how you made to post that photograph today. And whatever you do now, there's a compound effect, which that's a book. Who's the author? Let's quote the book anyway, Isaac. But that compound effect, I need to read it, but I know it's exactly that, exactly what you're talking about. So back to your marketing and your focus. So you're obviously naturally an exceptional marketer. So you go in, you did this, and you guys still do that. You have a great video that we need to release to everybody. Isaac, let's link it out. But about you as realtors and what it means to buy a house. And I mean, it's it's kind of sweet. Like, it kind of makes you want to cry because it's so sweet. But it made me cry a couple times too. Did it make you cry? But it's just about the process and how important it is, and that when you guys come in, you do everything humanly possible to make it happen and make it. It's your home. Yeah. And it's everything that you do in your home and remember about your home, and that's what we're a part of. So, so going from there, so you brought us to that, and then that's 2011, and I think since then, let me. So we're going to rewind back to the lessons you learned. The lessons you learned were growing too fast is dangerous. You've got to care about your client, and you need to know what you're good at and do what you're good at, and don't do what you're not good at. So give us a few examples of how, as you started in 2008 and progressed to now, how you've applied those lessons and how you structured your business now.
Well, I think, there's a lot of things. There's a whole endless list of things that I'm not good at, right? And that doesn't mean that Spyglass Realty shouldn't be doing them. It means that Ryan shouldn't be doing them. So when I look for a new team member, someone especially on staff, I need to fill the gaps that I'm the voids that I have with people that are going to do that. And so I've got a great office manager. Sunny's been with me for 6 years, and she takes ownership in everything that we do here. So I think that's one way. It's like if I'm not good at it and I still need to do it, how can I fill that? So I've got great people. I've got one of my agents is now taking the role of coaching part of our agents.
Oh, cool.
So he was just really good at that. Team building, detail orientedness. Like my wife.
Detail orientedness.
Right. I can't even say it.
We're making up new words in the show. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so you've even got somebody so much as coaching on the show. I mean, on the show. I'm thinking about the show. Coaching on your team. So walk us through like where your team is now and how y'all are structured. So you're kind of the lead guy.
Let me tell you how that started.
Okay. Actually. Yes, please. Yeah.
So what I was doing was I had 3 or 4 friends that were kind of on my team, and my method in the olden days, 2011 and shortly after, was like, I'm going to do something for me, right? I'm going to try this new thing out for me, whatever that is.
Right.
But then, okay, if that works, I'm going to let the agents know that it works, and I'm going to show it to them, and then they can adopt it from there, right? If they want to. And then when I realized that I kind of wanted to start getting out of production even 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to do that is to grow a team, which is really hard. I mean, we're just like last year became profitable as a team because I went through all these growing pains, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, we started bringing in leads through various other methods. We were using Tiger Leads and Commissions Inc. and Boomtown and all that. But
there goes Commissions Inc. again, Isaac. They're Atlanta based. We just learned about them. Like how we missed them, I don't know. But I'm finding the owner and giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Boomtown, Commissions Inc. And what was the other one?
Tiger Leads. I don't even think they're around anymore.
Okay. So anyway, so you're like, okay, we're going to get out of production. We're going to work on our business, not in our business.
Yeah.
So you start bringing more leads in.
Mm-hmm. Start bringing more leads in, getting agents. Like one thing I know is that like I'm really good at sales. I'm naturally good with people. I'm, charismatic. I'm good on the phone. I know what I'm talking about. I'm modest as always, right? You can tell that, right?
Right. Yeah, totally.
but no, I was good at I'm good at sales. So, I tried to teach that to agents and, going through scripts and like, what are our strengths and how do you portray that into a way that makes someone want to work with you? That took a long time to get that going, to get the right flow down, the right systems down, get the right people, to make the calls. I mean, it's an endless job. And so last year we started doing fairly well at it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we didn't do bad before, but there was times where I'm like, dude, should I just quit doing this? Like quit buying the leads and just focus on my own production?
Right. Like what is all this for? It might be easier to just go use my talent and sell and make money. I think a lot of people come back to that. A lot of
Absolutely. People. So I think after 3 years of really getting into that team thing, we started becoming profitable. I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And, end of last year, last year I sold 59 homes, and the price range was all across the board. Like I think the most expensive home I sold was like, 1.3 million. And then I sold a $200,000 home. Right.
Yeah.
And we were staging homes. We were renovating homes. Like we renovate like 20 homes a year. Right. And what I realized, we renovated this home in Round Rock. It was $200,000 home. It needed so much work. We didn't make a dime. We never make a dime on anything like that. And
so do you guys renovate them do you charge for that or?
Nope.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So what I realized, like we renovated, we staged the home. The owners didn't even they lived 5 hours away. And we sold the home, multiple offers on the first day.
Wow.
And she was like mad about like something. We had like a hiccup in the construction process of like when the floors were being put down. And like she was still mad about that.
She wasn't paying for? I love it.
Right. And what it made me realize is that like people that are in that price range that have not done maybe that's the only home they've ever bought, or maybe they're first time buyers, they don't appreciate that work. So we stopped staging homes under like 600,000.
Yeah.
And I decided I'm not going to drive more than 3 miles for a listing appointment anymore, which was really hard for me.
This is funny because we paralleled on this, but keep going.
Well, so that was really hard for me because like listings are my bread and butter. So I started giving it to, some to Sonny, and then one of my agents, Johnny, who works in Round Rock, he started taking the ones all in the north area, and Sonny started taking the ones in the south area where she lived. And that was hard to give up. And what's interesting is like my own personal production last year, I think was like, I don't know, 18 to 20 million over 59 homes, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
Okay. So this year I'm going to finish out with probably half the numbers and 28 million. So by giving up these other listings, driving, like it was able for me to focus on what I wanted to, which is homes in my neighborhood, not as many homes, and then more time to work with the team.
Wow. So you upped your sales price, you doubled
volume.
it. You didn't up your units, but it didn't matter because you sold more volume, less homes, closer to home, more focus on your team. I mean, that is such a huge lesson because so many people are afraid to let go of certain things. But if you just it's the difference between, I say this all the time, I got it from Liz Bentley. Everybody hashtag Liz Bentley because she is the one that really hones in on this. She's a business coach for a lot of top agents around the country and a really good one. But she says, focus on, she's like, in our business, especially because we come from a business, so we kind of live in the paradigm of it is competitive, but we forget that there's still abundance within our industry and what we do. And like you were thinking from a place of scarcity, well, there's only so many. And if I give this one up, if I give it up, I'm losing something. When you gave it up, you were saying no to it so you could say yes to more. Yeah.
My thought was this, our system was so dialed in that if I went to a listing appointment 20 miles away, and that's the only thing I did was go to that listing, I never had to go back. Right? I'm still dealing with the client and the agent, but my wife is doing the staging, the office manager's helping with the staging, the whole system's doing it like that. But then like what I realized was it wasn't just that hour, especially hour in Austin traffic, but it's the interaction with, like if I give Johnny a listing, he's dealing with that client from there on out. He's dealing with the agent on the other side of that deal. So
you do the listing appointments, and then once you win the business, your team.
And then Sonny even does a lot of the negotiating. But what I didn't realize is I'm still getting a bigger part of the commission because really they're like, it's my marketing machine doing it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they're handling much more than I anticipated. So I thought I was giving up 2 hours, right? When really, when you put everything in with the client, the other agents, it could be 15, 30 hours.
Right. Yeah. So you went from, give us before and after. Before you took the listing and it was yours, like you were the listing agent and you did the negotiating, the communicating, all of that. Even though you had your system, you probably have people scheduling showings and all that good stuff.
No, in Austin we do it through text message.
Yeah, well, so do we.
Yeah.
Well, we have this thing called showing time, but that's a whole nother speech. I'm not into it because showing time is like, I want to talk to the agent. I want to know the buyer. I want to know they're qualified, but that's Atlanta. But my point is, so the difference between you having the listing and not, I'm trying to figure that out for our audience so they can compare it to their own business and their own. When you give it up now, you still do the listing appointment, or do you just hand the lead off and they do everything?
I do it in my neighborhood, okay? I do it in my geographical area, but the difference is I'm not taking the leads, the internet leads that are coming in that want to see
Right.
sell home. So now our machine takes it. So I've got Sonny's my office manager. I've got a near full-time marketing assistant. I have 2 virtual assistants and a graphic designer. So I've got like all of these like marketing techniques that have taken a long time to get there, to get processed. It's kind of in my head. I did it all myself, and my assistant would do some of it. But now like we have wikis of like tutorials, like especially when we list a property now, we get the stage, we have four stages of the listing, which are coming soon, just listed, under contract, just sold, right? So we funnel people in through Facebook, and we'll start with the coming soon. We're trying to drive traffic to the property before it's listed, and then we retarget those people with the just listed, under contract, and just sold. But here's the beauty. We're not only retargeting them the stage of that listing, then when we do the next listing and we have those 4 stages, we're also retargeting every stage of the next listing. So if I go into any one of my listings, on Google AdWords, I'll have in a month, 30 to 60,000 impressions with, 2 to 300 clicks. So not only does it make our properties relevant, but it also makes our business relevant as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So do you do every listing? I keep asking you the same question because now I'm getting back to the beginning. But do you go to every listing appointment, or you only do listing appointments in your neighborhood?
Only in my geographical area now.
Okay. So you used to do all the listing appointments and let the machine run the rest. But now you're like, I'm only going to listing appointments in my neighborhood. And if it's outside of a 3-mile radius, you've got designated people. So you kind of have like areas that you designate agents on your team to, or how many do you have? Obviously,
I have, we have about 15 agents, and I have 2 that are taking our listings.
Okay.
So, and let me just clarify this, like, if I have a friend or, that's doing a listing and they're 20 miles away, I'm going to it.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, referrals, past clients, even those, especially in the investor ones, like I tell Sunny, she takes care of them. They're used to dealing with her anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like we have
they're grandfathered into the old system.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like those are easy. We just sold like 4 duplexes for a guy over 3 years. And like, I was involved in the first one. I didn't even see the other 3, and we renovated each one too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Y'all really need to show on HGTV. That's amazing that y'all do all of that. So what do you, I usually have a list of questions, but you've got so much interesting stuff. So one more time, because we've gotten kind of different versions of your team. You've got, and it's a company and a team. So you've got 15 agents. You've got an office manager, a marketing assistant, and a graphic designer. And then what do your virtual assistants do?
They do listing prep, transaction coordination, and then marketing.
Okay.
So we set up a system where we're doing retargeting through Facebook and Google AdWords, and it took me days to go through every click and take screenshots and then put it into a Word file where they can really a trained monkey can do it. Like, oh, there's a picture,
Yeah.
where you drag and drop, right? So they do a lot of that stuff. As far as the agents go, I think we have a few part-time agents, a couple of them are just hanging their license. About 3 of them are just getting really started. They've been with me for about a year. And one of them is probably going to do like $4 million in his first year, which is not, that's pretty good for a first-year agent.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you've got somebody in your company that's also training and coaching the agents.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Cool. So I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm curious what yours is. What do you think is what gives you the competitive edge to be a top agent in your market over so many other agents?
I think there's a couple things, but I would say, presentation of the property first and foremost. We're going to present the property in its best possible light, and then we're going to market it better than anyone else. We're going to control all of the variables that lead to a multiple offer situation.
I like that. So control the variables that lead to a multiple offer situation. What are those variables?
So basically, if we have a hot property in my neighborhood, and this is a horrible time of year, but let's say it's spring, right? We will do a coming soon boost on Facebook, lead people into it. Plus, we already, like in my neighborhood, we've got a targeted audience for 78704, people that visited all the 78704 properties. So we'll retarget to them. We'll do a massive boost on Facebook. I get people that are like, if it's a real hot property, they'll knock, they're like ready to knock on the door, driving by the property, they're calling me, let me in. I'm like, no.
That's
Thursday
awesome.
At 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Right?
And rejection breeds obsession, just saying. So when you say no, then they're like really wanting it.
Yeah, they're like, why would you not do that? Like, I had one lady, one house we sold earlier this year. She said, I just don't understand why you do that. Like, maybe we're cash buyers. What if they bring you a full price offer? I'm like, what if they bring me a full price offer? And what if I take that offer? And then what if we don't go live? And if I would have got live, I could have gotten 4 offers that would have went tens of thousands above list price.
Exactly.
And so she actually sent me an offer, sight unseen, tens of thousands above list price.
See, now that's a negotiator. I mean, that's a good that's like the value of a realtor right there. I mean, that's such a great example, because people sometimes don't understand what we do until they get a good realtor. I mean, I had a client the other day on the phone say to me, my husband has always said, realtors do not provide value. It's just a necessary evil. And she's like, he is now, it's things like that. The conversations that we know how to have and how to handle situations. He's like, he won't even like hire a landscaper. And landscaper maybe, but he mows his own lawn. Not that that's bad. A lot of people do, but this guy isn't he could hire a guy to mow the lawn and he doesn't. But my point is, he's like, if I can duplicate it, he's got this mindset that if I can duplicate it, I will. And she said, he's realized he can't duplicate what you're doing. It cannot be duplicated. There's
no way.
He's I always thought my realtor, I could duplicate what a realtor does, and he had one before and he felt that way. And she said, since he's hired you, I mean, this isn't the Jere Metcalf plug. I guess somebody else, Isaac, you tell him. But it's true. But it's back to the point about you. It's like what you just said. Nobody can do that for themselves. Only a good agent knows how to position and have that kind of conversation.
Yep. And so we never let anyone in the property before it's listed. We did in this case because we got an offer. Right. We had an offer. It was like $30,000 above list price. Right. So,
that's awesome.
When it comes to talking about I think your initial question is what makes us different: presentation of the property and the marketing that
control. It's the ADD going on here. It's a lot of fun. But what it was the variables that control a multiple offer.
Yeah. So, and that's it. Basically, especially I don't really sell that many properties this time of year, right? I mean, I sell the majority of my properties in January and May because that's our hot season. And then a few properties June, July, and August, right? Yeah. But like those techniques work really well in the hot time of the market. They're going to work better than no techniques this time of year. Exactly. But the magic that we have happened is in spring, because if we can get people that are dying to get in that property and build that anticipation and create that bottleneck and then, unleash it on opening day. I even tell my clients, well, what do I do about people that they call at the same time? I don't really mind if you accidentally have people bump into each other. Oh,
thank you. Maybe that's a Southern thing because we're both from the South. Yeah. But I love it when people are like, well, we can't have 2 buyers in the house. Or we can't have, what if one buyer's late? I'm like, and why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, right. Let them run into each other.
And I'm like, I don't understand that. Right. They should know that there's a demand for the property. That's not a bad thing. What are you most proud of in your success as being a real estate agent?
What I'm proud of? I think I'm more proud of when one of my agents is submitting an offer and the listing agent says, I know your broker, he's a really good guy, I like him, and that like that, because of my reputation, not of doing business, but because of my reputation of like helping people and being nice on the other end, it is like that has gotten me to a spot that has helped one of my agents, my reputation for a guy that gets things done, who's easy to deal with, he doesn't fly off the handle, right? And just had well known for doing a lot of deals and being nice to a lot of people.
Wow. So you said that one of the biggest things that you learned was what obviously was through other mistakes and your own mistakes. And it was, you're talking about, again, we've said this before, but don't grow too fast. Care about your clients. And I think the other one, what was the other one? Systems? Or I've got notes all over here. What was the other one? And the other one was know what you're not good at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was going somewhere with that, y'all. Anyway, so those are kind of the things you've learned, but do you have a story for us? And you've given us so many, but do you have any like big one that was like, this was the one like life altering thing in our career that we were like, wow, never again?
Well, it was a property management company.
I kind of knew that when I asked.
There's no doubt about it. Like I shouldn't have been doing it. I wasn't very good at it. And, I'll never get into a spot where I'm in that situation again. And I'll tell you this, when I say don't grow too fast, it's not about growing too fast. That's always an issue. Mm-hmm. But the next thing I say is take care of your clients, right?
Right.
Because if you grow too fast,
not
and
too
you don't
fast
take
to take
care of your clients, it's not 1 + 1 = 3. It's 1 + 1 = 5. You've got 2 mistakes that lead to 3 more mistakes. Right. So I mean, I'm all about rapid growth, but not at the expense of your client,
who's
also going to be your future client and your future referral, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of the big takeaway from the property management company for me. And do what you love doing. Like I hated doing that. Like I hated dealing with tenants calling all the time. And like, even when we did a great job, no one ever calls you and says, hey, you know what? I've gotten all the rent on time for the past year, no repairs. You guys are doing a great job. It just doesn't exist. So I think to be in the property management business, you got to be a little weird, right? Like you got to, you're not good with people. You don't want any compliments.
I was going to say, no need. This podcast is going to be titled, Why Not to Be a Property Manager?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
All right. So, what's been your biggest aha about the business of being a real estate agent or broker?
Gosh. I think that the biggest aha is just taking care of your clients. And also I'll tell you another aha moment for me, or several, is like when you're trying to learn things in your market and you're trying to reach out to people, like it's not going to work. Like go to a conference, go to, align yourself with other agents in other markets. I mean, you may learn some stuff, but like if you get to a hotel bar or at a conference and you're, especially like nowadays, like I'm in the curator community. I love that community.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, like now it's like, and I'm at the hotel bar, like we're good friends getting together year after year after year. And then we're talking about all the things that work for us, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to learn, I recently did something for the Board of Realtors. They asked, what would you tell a new agent? What would you tell a new broker, right? I would tell a new agent to find someone that you can shadow 24/7, work for free if you have to, sit in their office for 6 months, and just listen to them talk on the phone.
Listening to them talk on the phone is the biggest. I used to go to the office just to hear everything to do and not to do in negotiating and winning business.
And then for brokers, I'd say make friends in other cities. Like make friends of top producers in other cities and find out what they're doing. Take it back, see if it works. Not everything's that they do is going to work in your market, but most of it will.
It's so true. And when you're friends with agents in other cities, it's a little easier to share, because you're not, even though we like to, our business is very synergistic, it's a little competitive. So sometimes we want to keep our good stuff close until we get in another city.
If you're good at it, you're going to get referrals from those people. Like, curator's expensive. I mean, it's, I'll probably pay, I don't know, $1,300 to $1,500 a month for that system.
Wow. Yeah.
I make more than that off of the curator clients sending me business.
Exactly.
Curator
should pay you a lot of money for that clip, because that was good. And we're gonna tag them, because we tag everybody that gets mentioned on the show.
Cool.
So unless you tell us not to, but
no, it's fine.
Anyway, so a couple more questions. What do you think? And maybe it's curator, what you just said, but what is your actually, yeah, I have 2 more questions. I'm gonna make it. I do this all the time, y'all, but I'm making it into 3 or 4. What is your favorite tool, or what do you find is the most, other than your phone? What is the most productive, effective tool for your business?
I just recently got asked about this. So I have those. I have 2 answers for that, right?
Okay. Of course you do. You're a realtor. Right.
I would say for sales and marketing, it's Curator Systems, because they do a lot of teachings and stuff like that. And for efficiency, we use Workplace by Facebook, and I'm a huge avid fan of Workplace by Facebook. It's basically, do you know what that is? Yeah,
I do. Yeah. Okay. So at Compass, we have Workplace by Facebook, but I've not been on it. I know what it is, but I want to hear. So how do you use it?
We use it for contract questions and answers. Like, you can go back, like someone puts it in there, a question about a survey. You can go in and type survey. We also have onboarding, like all these different videos that people have to watch before they can come into the office. And
this
now
is agents that you hire?
Do what?
Is this the agents that you hire, or who are the videos for?
Yeah, all the agents that I hire have to watch all of our systems videos in the agent onboarding group. And now we do a group for every listing. So if it's, 2101 Matterhorn, we have 2101 Matterhorn. We actually just started inviting the client into that group so that they can see us, the back end, like, hey, Kelly, order pictures for this, or, what's the staging video for this? Like, we need a walkthrough. Like, the stager can go into that property and do a live walkthrough. This needs to go here, this needs to go here. And then the client can now see the back end of what they're doing. Because a lot of times they don't really see what we're doing on the back end until like the pictures come in. Now with Workplace, they see our
They can just check and like watch everything that's going on. Now, can they comment and micromanage? Does that happen, or?
Well, no, so that's what I'm afraid of, right?
Yeah.
So we just started doing it. Like they just started allowing that about 3 months ago. And so we've only got like 2 or 3 people that we've done on that.
So you're kind of doing like your beta.
3 people that like I would have this like litmus test and be like, let's not invite them, so.
I love it. No, that's awesome. Yeah, some people, and some people would rather not be a part of that as far as clients go. I have some clients, not many, but I've had clients like, I don't want the feedback. Don't give me the feedback. I don't like the feedback. I don't want to hear it because it upsets me and I get my feelings hurt. Just tell me when you have an offer. I'm like, great, no problem. We are going to track it so that if you do need to hear it, you've got it. But it's awesome. And here's is there a difference between Workplace, because we have my team, except we're not as good as y'all are. We use it more to just interact and motivate and tease each other. But we have a private Facebook page that we just get on and put quotes and send love. We don't use it we're used contactually to go and run systems and programs and pipelines through that. Mm-hmm. But is there a difference between like a private Facebook group?
Yeah. So private Facebook that's just one thing. In Workplace, we have like, several different groups.
Cool.
Like I've got marketing, I've got contract question and answers. I've got
so you have one platform that has different interfaces kind of running
several different groups. Yeah. Like we do Instagram research on one of the groups. Like we have all over Instagram. We take all the photos, we put them onto weeks ahead of time, like a week or 2 ahead of time. These are all the photos that we use. And under that picture, we'll put the description and the hashtags we want to use, and then the virtual assistant will go in and put posted underneath that, so we know we don't have to use that one again. So So, and then we're also
check that
we're
out.
holding
That's
our
awesome.
files in there too. Another thing, like with Dropbox and Google Drive, like
Google Drive.
sometimes you lose stuff, right?
Right.
Like my Google Drive's a mess. If I have a hashtag,
You know what? I used to think that about Google Drive, but I've learned to use it better. But keep going. Yeah.
So what you can do is if you put like in my Instagram one, if you put like hashtag bucket, you just put the link in Google Drive and post it there.
Yeah.
Then you go to files. Every single file that you put a link to will be in the files. Clean.
This
right?
is in workplace?
It's in workplace, yeah.
I'm going to check that out.
I've got a video I can show you. I'll send you about that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. So if there's one person who's most influenced, and it can be a speaker, it can be Tony Robbins, for crying out loud, that influenced the rest of the world. Love Tony Robbins. But is there anybody or a mentor or anybody that's most influenced your success in your career or your life?
Gosh, I'm on the spot right now.
That's where we get the
I don't
best
know about any one person. I've got a lot of people that have. I will tell you a story about a quote that influenced me. Okay,
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, when everything was going to hell in a handbasket with that property management company, I was like, the accounts were all messed up, the finances were messed up. Like I would have been in trouble if that would have went down. Like, so I mean, literally.
Sure you wanted to tell us that? No, I'm kidding. It's all in the past now.
Right. Limitations are past, right?
Right.
But I mean, it was messed up. We had someone leave and possibly steal stuff from us.
Right.
More likely it was just negligence. But I remember reading the 4-Hour Work Week when all this was going
Great
on.
Great book, by the way.
Great book. But I remember one part of it. He says, whatever your fear is of like whatever you're going through, and what you think is going to be like the really rough thing that's going to happen, in reality, the worst part of that is not even going to be 20% of it.
Yeah.
And so
the worst part of it is your anticipation of it, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I just remember having that such a profound effect on me, like, because sometimes when you're in a bad situation and when
everything
is hitting you at once and your business is about to fail, or you're struggling to make payroll or whatever it is, your fear will hit you so hard, and you just need to know that you're going to get past that and put that aside, and whatever you think is going to happen is not, whatever your fears of your worst case is never going to happen.
Right.
And you just to know that and push forward.
I like that. So the next question is, which maybe that was it, but what is the one book you would recommend we read?
Oh gosh. I'm going to say there's a lot of books I'm into. Donald Miller's Story Brand has been a good one for us.
Don Miller's Story Brand?
Arnold Miller Story Brand.
Miller. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Traction is another one, but this is going to be a little unconventional, but I'm going to say The Godfather.
I love it. And The Godfather, why is that?
Because what I love about that book, it's my favorite book. I have a first edition signed copy at my house.
Ah.
But what I love about it is like when Vito Corleone came over from Italy, it also talks about how he was thought to be a very stupid child,
Yeah.
And he was very quiet. When he came over, he spent his business helping other people in the neighborhood. And that's, not in like the gangster fashion of, that you would think, but just really helping all the people in the neighborhood. And that's how he became the Don of the neighborhood.
Oh, interesting. How fun. The Godfather. That's the good stuff. Like, forget all these self-help books. Read The Godfather.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. And last question is, what is the one thing, if there's one thing that you would say we should get out of this interview, would hope we would get out of this interview, what is it?
I think that persistence and, failing forward is a part of life. And if you aren't failing, you aren't succeeding, you're not learning. And, I think that's probably it. And that combined with a very, very good work ethic is the recipe for success. And I'll say that, like, I don't have it all figured out. Like I think I talked to you guys the other night, like I've got a lot of friends that are doing much better than me. And I kind of, you surround yourself with people that, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. Right. So, I'm down on myself, but if I have to look at my life lessons, I look at it like, I'm where I'm at because I never, ever give up. If I do 10 things that fail, one of them work, I throw the 9 away and then stick with the 1 and do 10 more things, and I think that would be my answer to that question.
Awesome. I love it. Well, that's it. Thank you.